Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's Life Conversations with a Twist. I have Claudia Scott on. We actually just met. This is what I love about podcasting is that you get connected to so many amazing women all over the world. And you are in Arkansas, which we were just catching up on the weather. But I'm really excited to have the conversation with you today. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you
Um,
so much.
yeah, and you're a podcaster too, and we'll get to that as well. And I want to hear about what your podcast is about. But tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive in.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that we're doing this and we're catching up. And I think these spaces are so valuable and so important, especially, now. So I'm very, very thankful that you invited me. Just a little bit about myself. Like, yes, we were just catching up. We haven't met before, but I live in Northwest Arkansas. So a lot of people don't know where that is. It is about 3 hours from Little Rock, which is what most people know. And like I was telling Heather, it is Walmart country. So this is where Walmart was founded. So we have lots of Walmarts. I moved to Arkansas from Costa Rica in 2013, thanks to a scholarship created by the Walt International Scholarship Program. So they have this program in Central America where they bring high school, excellent high school students every year to, study in Arkansas and learn. So I was very lucky to do that. That's how I ended up in Arkansas. A lot of people tell me like from Costa Rica, you chose Arkansas. I was like, I didn't know as much as choose it as like it was Arkansas or nothing. So I've been here for 12 years. I met my husband in college, and we've been here ever since. He is from Northwest Arkansas, and we just love it here. I get to visit my family, all my parents, siblings, and everyone is still in Costa Rica. So we have the privilege at the end and the advantage to travel back and forth. But I've been here in Northwest Arkansas, particularly for about 6 years. Over half of that working in the nonprofit world, and a personal passion. Like I mentioned earlier, I do have Tourette Syndrome, so I'm very passionate about bringing education awareness for neurodiversity in the workforce.
I love that. And do you want to talk a little bit about Tourette's for somebody who, I mean, obviously we were, it's so funny because like we'll reference things that we talked about before, but
I know.
I feel like anybody who's struggling with any kind of disability, like I think things are now coming to the forefront, and now with like social media and Netflix and documentaries, I feel like there's a lot more exposure around it. Do you want to talk a little bit about what Tourette's is for anybody who doesn't really know? Like obviously I know what it is, but I don't know a lot about it.
I would love to. So Tourette's is a neurological disorder that causes motor and vocal tics, involuntary tics. So they can range from, eye blinking, which is a very common one, like nose scrunching, to more like sounds, coughs, barks, yells. There is a very big popular reality show right now. I personally haven't watched it. I've heard about it, but I have not watched it yet. With Tourette's, it's kind of weird. If you do see someone have certain tics very publicly and loudly, you can eventually kind of start doing the same thing and mimicking. So I try not to watch that. That I was diagnosed, I think, officially when I was 12. I started symptoms when I was 7 or 8. I think it was, the regular eye and nose, and then eventually some vocal tics. One of the big kind of like things that Tourette's is known for is having a lot of comorbidities. So Tourette's usually comes accompanied by other, a variety of things. Most common anxiety, OCD, ADHD. We have, a lot of people with autism, dyslexia, learning disabilities. Personally, I have Tourette's, I have OCD and anxiety that have been diagnosed. I'm pretty sure I'm ADHD undiagnosed, but it was really different. And like you mentioned, kind of that shift. I grew up in, was born in 1994 in Costa Rica. So when I started having symptoms in the early 2000s, there was really not any information. I think my mom, somebody told us, like, have you prayed for her? She may have a demon. She's like, I don't think it's that. Uh, so there was a lot. I mean, she did the best she could. So there was definitely a late diagnosis, which still the crazy thing is, according to the Tourette's Association of America, is that half of the people in the US who have Tourette's are still undiagnosed, which seems like a crazy number because it's a disability that can be so like in your face, it's very palpable. Like, if you have tics or of movements or noises, and to know that still half of the people who have it are undiagnosed can be just, it sounds crazy. And I think that's why Oh, the awareness piece is so important,
Mm.
especially in a world that it's evolving, the workforce is evolving, and neurodiverse workers can bring such a particular perspective to all fields and industries. So I think it is so important to have the right education in the workplaces that will teach people. Neurodiversity has kind of shifted from being something that we see as a negative to how can the perspective of a neurodiverse worker help my company or benefit my team. So I think that's something that I'm very, very passionate about.
I'm assuming this will relate to the foundation that you're a part of, so we'll get to that. But I do have a couple questions. Is Tourette's, is it a hereditary thing, or like how does one get
Get
diagnosed?
Tourette's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't know the cause yet. They do know it's some sort of chemical imbalance in the brain.
Mhm.
They're they have theories. Some people is, I think, genetic, hereditary. My case personally, so neither of my parents have any like tics or tic disorders. I have a cousin who does have like, has had one or two tics throughout his life, but usually you need about two motor tics and one vocal tic for, 2 or 3 years in order to be diagnosed. So I am the only person in my family that's ever been diagnosed. So family history was really not the one for me. I was born premature. My mom had preeclampsia. I was born at 6.5 months.
Mhm.
So that is usually what the doctors, they have seen a relation between premature babies or issues at birth connected to kind of just that development of Tourette syndrome. So it's not like a straightforward answer. That's what they think in my case is what I would have caused it, but they don't really know. There's not a
Mhm.
link. And as much as there's not, an answer for why, there is not a cure for it either. We do have, medication that can help. There is no medication specific for Tourette syndrome.
Mhm.
So usually, I've taken a medication that was for seizures, or I've taken medication that's for migraines or epilepsy or, whatever else, but they have found that helps with Tourette's. So there is nothing particularly for us. So it is kind of this like trial and error, try this medicine. If it makes you so much worse, you'll have to leave it. It could make you about a lot better, but there's like all of these side effects that kind of come with it. So that part can be a little frustrating, especially navigating that when you've had an early diagnosis. And there is a new therapy, comprehensive behavioral intervention for tics. So it's the only like non-medication kind of treatment for Tourette's, and I've heard some really great things about the treatment. I've tried a couple sessions myself, but it was kind of in a change where I was really busy at work and I didn't finish, but I've heard amazing things. So for people that are not really, they don't like to take medication or they've had some really kind of negative experiences with that, I think CBAT is a great option. Like personally, right now I'm not taking any medication. I've tried to kind of focus on a more like holistic, and I never thought I'd be that girl, but yoga, reading a lot, finding listening to my body, like more natural approaches. And I hate myself when I say it because I've never been, but it really is so much better. But I have taken medication most of my life and I don't have a problem with it. I'm almost kind of sure that at one point I'll probably have to take it again. Tourette's really ebbs and flows a lot. So there can be years when it's barely noticeable. People kind of treat it like a stoplight. So there's years where it can be, a green light or a yellow light, and then like periods where it can be a full stoplight. So right now I don't take medications, but I have most of my life, and some have been great. Some have made it much worse. One gave me kidney stones, another, so there is so much to go with it.
I love the holistic approach because I mean, I just been hearing that just in general. Like everybody's like, just take drugs, just take medicine, just take medicine. But there's so many things that we can do in our normal day life to, for anything. And so I'm glad that you're taking that approach. I'm curious to see like how that transpires for you. I guess my question would be, because you said a lot of it has to do like you have anxiety and OCD. So do you notice like there's certain situations or certain time periods that it is worse for you, or is it kind of just like,
Yeah. So I use the stoplight method a lot. Just I learned that I was helping with some sort of research study. I usually do those because at the end of it, they'll give you like a $500 Target gift card. I'm like, I can use my Tourette's and go shop at Target. Absolutely. But one of the kind of like the research is use this model, and I've loved it because it makes it so much easier to explain. So I would say it really does depend on the day. I would say definitely stress can make tics and their symptoms, a little worse. Happiness, like really exciting things. One of the big things for me is like overstimulation. So usually I love live music, we love traveling, we love concerts and festivals and sporting games. And usually I'm already kind of like prepped myself. If I go to a concert, my tickets are probably going to be really bad for the next day or two. So it's not like a negative thing particularly, but it's just there are just random instances that make
Hmm.
the tics kind of worse or better. Uh, and I would say that just for me particularly, and I know it is a journey and it's everyone's journey is so much different, but mine really helped once I accepted, okay, I'm not going to stop going to concerts. I am not going to stop traveling, but I also can't get rid of my Tourette. So what do I need to do to make sure I enjoy both as much as I can? I think that's why the acceptance piece is so important because we're usually when we fight something so much, it only makes it worse. So kind of just like letting that flow and accepting has made such a difference for me. Like I realized, okay, if I buy some of these like little earplugs and I put them on when I'm at a football game or when I'm at a concert, my tics are actually not that bad the next couple of days. Or just kind of being like, you know what? If they're gonna be bad, they're gonna be bad. There's nothing I can do. So that acceptance piece, like it sounds like it shouldn't change it as much as it does, but I've seen even just a decrease in symptoms because I've changed my mindset and perception of things a lot.
That's so interesting. Huh. Unfortunately, people are in our society are not really accepting to people who are different. Whether that's a disability of any sort. What advice would you give to somebody who is interacting with someone with Tourette's, of like making you feel more comfortable and more accepting of like being in that space?
I love that question just because, and I always tell people, if I didn't have Tourette's, I probably would also stare if I heard someone, barking like a dog or quacking like a duck or, moving their faces super, I understand that we're nosy humans, we're curious creatures. So if we see something odd, we're gonna kind of look and be like, oh my God, what is that? So and I try not to take that personally. Last year I traveled, last year, the year before, we were in the Pacific Northwest. Like my tics were not great, and we're visiting museums, and probably, close to 50 people made a comment in the time span of like 2 or 3 hours. Like, are you okay? Are you choking? God bless you. Did you just, and it got to a point where I looked at my husband and said, I'm done. Take me home, which I rarely do. Like it takes me a while, once you've lived with something your whole life, I was like, I can't do this anymore. If one more person looks at me weird, if one more person asks, I'll probably either cry or I will snap. And I've been trying to be so nice. So he's like, no, you're totally right. We'll finish up and we'll go. And right as we were leaving, there was this family kind of like, I saw them behind me. I was like, if they tell me something, I am not going to be very nice. And so the mom comes and she's like, hey, I'm so sorry we were following you. But my daughter has Tourette's and she was also having a bad day. And we heard, a lot of people ask you and we heard your answers and she just wanted to get to know you. And I was like, oh my God. So usually the thing for me that I've found out is almost when I'm at my breaking point, I realize I get a reminder of why I do what I do. Once I'm almost at my breaking point, something happens that reminds me why it's so important for me to be out there and to answer the questions and to not, to be out loud and proud about it. So that's one of my favorites just because it's so meaningful to me, but also to other people that may be experiencing the same thing. It can be so emotionally taxing, but if we are helping that one person, like usually I get to see kind of that reward. I would say also one of the things people, with Tourette's and in other conditions, we want people to be aware and we want to create that awareness, but we sometimes get very like, we push back when somebody wants to just ask us questions, and we can't have that both ways. If we want awareness, we should probably also know that there will be people that don't know. There are ignorant people, and that's not really a bad thing. We can, it's a bad thing, but it's not their fault. There will be people that just don't know. They're not ill-intended. I have found out that although there are mean-spirited people, most of the people I encounter are not ill-intended. They're not mean, and the ones that do get so overshadowed but by the supportive ones that I try not to think about them as much. So I would say for both people that have Tourette's and people that are curious, I think building these spaces of having open, raw, vulnerable conversations are so important. They're important for me because I think I get to tell a bit about my story, but also if I can teach one person what Tourette's is that didn't know, that's worth it. It's worth the looks, it's worth the stares, it's worth the whispers, because eventually, hopefully, this will be normal. So I think these spaces, and I always say this, my social media, my cell phone, I'm always willing to have these conversations. I have friends, I call them friends, but they are to me people that have contacted me from like Asia and other parts of the United States. And I had someone message me 2 days ago from Italy and said, this is something I have, it's new, and I've never told anyone, and I don't know what to do. So like, I think that is so important because it really validates all the work and the awareness that I do.
I just have to say you're super inspiring, because I think a lot of times people take something that they're going through as like a bad thing, and I love that you've like turned this into this inspiring thing to educate others and to inspire and to like accept who you are. And so I appreciate that, and I see you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And it is, and I always tell people I try to be as positive as I can, but I would be remiss if not to say, there have been some really dark times, some really dark days, some really mean people. It's just at the end of the day, I would say the positive outweighs the negative, which is, it's hard to see that sometimes in society. We're so pumped full of negativity that my husband and I say that may not be the healthiest way to deal with stuff, but if something really bad happens, we're like, okay, that happens, but let's just move on and not talk about it until like 2 months from now. So I appreciate that. There has been some dark times,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, it's sunny outside, it's beautiful, and we need to enjoy it.
And you're alive, and yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
a
mean,
short life,
yeah,
so.
totally. Okay, so let's talk about the work that you're doing. So you did you start this the Startup Junkie?
No, no, no. So
Okay.
Startup Junkie, our founder, his name is Jeff Amron. He started, I think it was like early 2000s, probably 2007, 2008. They started a consultant firm in Northwest Arkansas, and that has developed into what is now Startup Junkie Foundation. We do have a for-profit side that is still ran by our founder, and then the foundation, which is nonprofit. We kind of tackle, again, this holistic approach to all the things that I feel like it's so important. So we do at our core, we're trying to democratize access to resources and capital to all entrepreneurs, and we do that in a variety of ways. So events and programming are a big one. We do networking events, we do pitch competitions when people can come and pitch their business, and we have prizes, monetary prizes. We have, information sessions, lunch and learns of topics that our small business are kind of in need of. We have a couple of accelerator programs, a micro loan crowdfunding platform, which is the one I direct. And then we do one of the things we're most known for is our one-on-one consultant. And we have just different programs with organizations across the state. So, at its core, we want to make sure that all the entrepreneurs in our area and beyond are able to access resources regardless of who they are, which is, it really is a beautiful mission, and it's a great work to get to see. Sometimes we see someone who was baking and in their house, and now they have 2, 3 restaurants in the time span of 3 years. So it's a very, very gratifying job.
And is it do you guys only service the Arkansas area?
So yes and no. A lot of our contracts are focused on like that Northwest Arkansas area primarily, and we do have programs with the state of Arkansas that focus on statewide entrepreneurs. But we do some work outside of the state too. I've had a couple of workshops where we do them online, and then we've had people from like Finland and Canada and the UK be like, I just wanted to learn. Is that okay? I'm like, yes, you're definitely welcome. We may not be able to like give you a grant or give you a loan that's particularly for like our area. But usually we could take, clients regardless of where they are. We do have a strong partnership with South Korea. So we have an accelerator. We bring 20, 30 businesses from South Korea for 12 weeks in Arkansas. One of the things that people don't know, especially when they hear Arkansas, is that this area, Northwest Arkansas, mainly because we have the Walmart kind of founders here, and we have another couple of big companies. JB Hunt is one, which they do logistics and transportation, and Tyson, which is all like chicken and poultry. So these are three huge worldwide companies, all born in Northwest Arkansas, all headquartered in Northwest Arkansas. So we have this now world-class kind of incubator of entrepreneurship in Arkansas, which people would never expect. So we get companies from all over the world for our fuel accelerator. We now are helping with a cycling focused accelerator, and we have companies from New Zealand and the UK and just all over the place. There is just a plethora of not only resources, but like resources as in like education and connections, but like financial resources for entrepreneurs. So we see more and more people moving from, Italy and New Zealand to Arkansas, which people hear that transition, they're like, no, you're wrong. But it is happening more and more. We are very lucky to have a lot of resources here for entrepreneurs.
That's so cool. I am one. I have two businesses actually. And I love like my favorite thing is like, and I say this all the time, especially here in Sonoma County, we do a lot of events. Like we're really known for hospitality. And so people are just finding these little niches in the market and like starting these cute little businesses and then seeing them flourish is so cool. I guess my question for you is, do you guys see more like small businesses that are staying kind of small, but like making a bigger impact? Or are you seeing these ones that are startups that are turning into a future Walmart?
Yeah. That is a cool thing, I think, of the work we do at Startup Junkie. So we do all of it. So I think our cap would maybe like 10, maybe 20 million in revenue. And then we can still kind of serve them from the consulting side, which is kind of like that for-profit arm. So once they get like way too big for us, we definitely don't just abandon them. But they would need different consultant, different services, different information. Though we see everything. I mean, we have the regular, bakery or jewelry to technology or stuff that is very AI and machine learning focused. For our fuel accelerator, we have two cohorts. One is focused solely on artificial intelligence and machine learning, and the other one is health tech focus. So we definitely, those companies I would say are definitely much, much bigger in scale. The ones I work with, usually it's kind of that small mom and pop or, the food truck, but we occasionally do get, like, we have a lot of farmers, but we do occasionally get like somebody that has an app and they just need a little bit of cash or a little bit of just influx to be able to get them to the finish line. Yesterday, particularly, I spoke to a high school group here in Northwest Arkansas in Bentonville. And most of them had already business license. They were barely 18. I mean, some of them were doing a technology that was just so innovative and cool that I was like, you could sell this for millions of dollars. And then we had someone who is, joining that. I think he is wanting to work with Kiva for capital, has this, already a business as he's had established for a while, and he is developing this technology for like pickleball paddles, where, coaching for pickleball paddle, for pickleball is really expensive, but it is the fastest growing sport. So it's a paddle that has like this sensor. So, if you're, I'm not very athletic, but if you need to go more to the right or to the left, or you're curving or not, that data goes straight to your phone. So it's good. I asked him, I said, is it like an Aura ring, but for like pickleball paddles? And he said, yes. So it's just really good. I'm like, and you're 18? And he actually came, and we had a pitch competition last night. And he came and he pitched and he won. So it is just so cool to see that innovation, regardless of age, regardless of socioeconomic status, gender, race. It really is cool to see there is no age for entrepreneurship. Like that one of the things we're really, really focusing on is lowering those barriers of entry as much as we can.
That is so cool. What a fun job. I'm sure you've seen so many really cool businesses come through.
I know, I do. I love it. It is great. I would say it is the best job I've ever had. And not only, the work that we do, one of the things which I kind of mentioned to you is I try to be in the banking world right after college. I was like, oh, I'm going to be rich. It's going to be great. Hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it so strongly. And I remember telling my husband, I want a job where I can almost touch that impact that I'm making. I wanted, I want to make sure this, what we do in life is part of that legacy that we're always going to leave behind. Is more than just like assets. It's kind of like the journey we walk. And I was like, I want something that when I'm 20, 30 years down the line, I can be proud of the work I did. I don't want to feel like it's just a hamster doing random tasks for someone I never know. So I think that job really does fulfill that kind of that goal and checklist.
I love that. Okay, so you see so many entrepreneurs. I love when someone's like, I have this idea and I'm like, do it. And then I see so many people who are like, had this idea, but they're stuck in a career, but they don't want to leave because of the unknown. What advice would you give to somebody who's like kind of in that space right now?
Yeah. I would say, and I tell people this all the time, lean on your community as much as you can. Uh, I think entrepreneurship can be such an isolating career and such an isolating journey. It's a great journey, but it can be isolating just because, it's one person and you're kind of expected to do the jobs of 50 people. And you wear
Yep.
the hats of marketing manager, CEO, cleaner,
HR.
HR, IT, you do all the things. And not only are we shouldn't be good at all the things, we're not good at all of the things. That puts so much pressure. Just the ability to go into kind of like a networking group or somewhere that you can join and speak to people that are going through the same thing as you, even if they're not giving you any help or financial help or educational help, being with someone that you can share what you're going through, I think can be so impactful for people that starting in their entrepreneurship journey. So I'd say that's number one. Number two, find resources in the community, entrepreneurial support organizations that will help you with the education portion, with the consulting portion, the mentorship portion, and not, a lot of like studios will take like part of the equity of the company, a percentage, or like, oh, we'll give you this capital if find companies that don't do that. Find companies that will, especially at the beginning, support your journey without kind of taking away from you. And there are, I mean, if we are here in Northwest Arkansas, I guarantee there are wherever you're starting your business. I would say number three, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. I would say a lot of people on LinkedIn that you see that are like, oh my God, I would love to sit down with this person or just like ask for advice. Do it. Most people are good. And that's kind of like the same thing I said with my Tourette's, the same thing I feel about that entrepreneurial journey. Most people are willing to help. We're just kind of in this virtual disconnected world where it feels weird to send you a LinkedIn message. But if we were in person, I would ask the same thing. So do it. You would be surprised how many people are willing to help. And the last one, which I always try to kind of finish my podcast with, that is give yourself so much more grace than you probably do. I think in this like super fast paced, automated world where like we need everything now and it needs to be perfect and and not only are we forgetting to give grace to others, but we do forget to give grace to ourselves so much. And entrepreneurship is definitely a profession where you're going to need to give yourself a lot more grace than you probably do. So I would say those 4 or 5 pieces are my advice.
I love that so much. It's funny. I just recorded a solo podcast last week that because everybody wanted to know about my journey, and I was like super raw and honest. And then I was just on a podcast earlier this week about talking about networking and how you need to use like your resources to reach out because people are willing to help. Like if someone emailed me and was like, "Hey, how did you start your business?" Of course, I'm going to help them because it's like,
and somebody may see your profile and be like, oh, she's not going to text me back. She's not even going to read my message. She's but just if they don't reply, that's fine. But they probably will.
Yeah, because it's like we all want to help each other and support each other. I love everything you're doing. I'm so glad that we got connected. Thank you for being inspiring, not only with like how you handle, Tourette's in the world, but also what you're doing to support entrepreneurs. I wish you were in California, but we do have amazing resources just like that here. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. I appreciate you holding this space. I think it's so not only important, but so needed right now. Just spaces where we can kind of support each other with just a lot of positivity. So I appreciate what you're doing. It's very, very, I see you. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna hit.